Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, my listeners. This is Wiktor, Doctor, and this is episode number 54 of Good Morning BSS World. It's been already 2 months since I recorded the previous episode of this podcast, but within that time, I focused more on recording Polish podcast, which name is BSS Bez Tajemnic. In English, it means BSS with no secrets, and they were recorded over 30 new episodes within that time. Yes, nearly every single day the new episode has been created and shared with the Polish audience. But now, I think this is the highest time to come back to recordings in English. And why not? Let's focus, let's share a few thoughts about some office trends. Yes, office trends in the end of 2021. Within the last 2 months and even before, I spent a lot of time talking to heads of shared service centers of BPO companies, but also of the representatives of other industries, and we were focusing and discussing what are the current trends in the office approach. Look, this is already the second year when the pandemic is with us. And probably this is not a surprise that a lot of companies are within such a period in such a situation that their office contracts are being either terminated or are in the need of extending it for the new period of time. And of course, a lot of companies within the time had been using the model of remote work or hybrid type of work, and now they are wondering what to do with the office. What approach is the most, let's say, successful for them to be continued and the most wise to have the office being used and not standing empty with no employees on board. And actually, there are a number of trends which are available on the market, but 3 of them are becoming more and more visible and being repeated by a number of businesses. What are those 3 office trends at the end of 2021? So, the first one is office for half of the team size. Yes, half of the team size. So let's imagine that you have a company for 100 people and you are creating an office only for 50 of them. Yes, half of the team. Why is it happening so, and why such decisions are being made? So, first of all, the lockdown has shown that not only half of the team, but sometimes all of the team, 100% of the team works from home. So, the office stands empty. Why to pay for something what is standing empty? Secondly, the companies have actually focused on such areas that within even the time before pandemic, there were a number of days where some part of their teams was out of the office because of holidays, because of the sickness leaves, because of the pandemic limitations, and so on and so on. So they have did some calculation, and also they asked their teams what is the preference of staying at work, I mean in the office, or at home, or at some kind of a remote office. And a lot of employees replied that they do prefer some kind of a hybrid approach, and they do prefer to spend some time during the week at home or working from other space than the main office of the company. And making those calculations, a lot of businesses made the decision of not having an office ready for 100% of the team. I spent a lot of time talking to larger businesses. Larger, I mean those who employ 500, 1,000 people, and they do have very similar approach. It means that nowadays, one of those leading trends is that the office is for half of the team, and most of the desks are being used not by dedicated person, but by people who are changing on the desk. Yeah, we can call it remote desk, we can call it hot desk, or whatever else name we can choose for this kind of a situation. But the truth is that now not every single player in the business is going to have a dedicated desk for a day-to-day work. Yes, this is the trend number one, and I even recently was on the official opening of one of the GBS centers in Warsaw, where the current size of this team is 140 people. The office is prepared for 300 desks, so it sounds like it's doubled, but the company is now employing 600 people. So already from the day number one of growing the business, the company already knows that there will be only 50% of desks available for the team, and the rest of the team is going to work remotely or spend time outside of the main office. So the trend number one, office for half of the team size. I wonder how it is happening in the other countries, because all of the research, all of the studies I've been running were run in Poland, but in various types of companies and in various size of the cities. And this trend is going to be present not only in the large agglomerations like Warsaw, Krakow or Wrocław, but this is also being repeated in much smaller size of the cities. Okay, let's leave the trend number one and let's move to the trend number two. The trend number two is that not the office is going to be a one place for your team, but your office is going to be created where you will create your teams. Yes, I call it teams everywhere. And why? The reason of that is that we are now living in the era of, we call it in Poland, the era of employees. It means that there are less resources than we would expect to be present in the place where we grow our business. So it means that if you want to grow your business, you should go to other destinations, to other locations, not necessarily to other countries, but there is a need to open offices or to hire people in different cities, in different spaces. And this is going to be repeated by a number of businesses. Already now, it is very visible, especially in the IT industries or software houses, the companies who are running the services of testing the software, or those who are the R&D businesses. They are opening their smaller teams, smaller offices in smaller cities. Yes, not only moving people to one big city and allowing them to work from one office or to work from home, but because of the fact that teams are not available in some of the skills in some of the cities, the businesses have decided to move to them. Yes, and this created actually a trend, a new trend of using in much bigger scale co-working offices and flex offices. Why? Because first of all, you can hire them for a shorter period of time. You don't need to sign a long-term contract for your office. But for example, if you are creating a team of 15-20 people in the city where your business have never been present earlier on, then you can have an office for much shorter period of time. And now the question appears. So if you are hiring a remote team, why to have an office for them at all? Those people can work from their homes. And actually this is quite right, but some of the businesses think that it's actually good to meet those people from one location from time to time, actually to do some brainstorming, some sharing the ideas, some networking, and so on and so on. Networking not necessarily only going for a coffee or a pint of beer at the end of the day, but also during the day focusing on the work which is being run by the whole remote team in this other destination. So co-working spaces and flex offices are brilliant spaces to actually collect that team and allow them to work together. And this is the trend number two. Those virtual teams are being present in more and more companies nowadays. And just imagine, let's take a look on your own business. Is your business ready to create a remote team somewhere? Doesn't matter if you are a software house or you are an accounting company. Perhaps your accountants also are not available only in one location where your head office is being present, and you are considering to use people from the other destinations. A lot of companies already do so, and I wouldn't be surprised if your company would one day focus on that approach. Actually, this is something what I would like to know from you. So if you would like to share your thoughts there in the place where you are listening to this podcast, or on my LinkedIn profile where I am also sharing the info about this podcast, then please feel free to leave your comment, and I would be really glad, satisfied reading what is your approach and what do you think about creating such virtual teams in the cities where your business so far has never been present so far. Okay, so those were the two trends, and now what is the third one? The third one actually focuses on the office as it is, but with more space, more rooms for video calls, and more space for creating creative areas. Yes, so let's imagine that you already have an office already for a couple of years, and you have quite a big team, and this team is working in the remote and in the hybrid model already, but because of various reasons you don't want to downsize the whole office area, but you would like to downsize the working open spaces where the desks are being changed from dedicated desks to the remote to the hot desks, and the other space of your office you are changing to have bigger distance between people. That's because of the pandemic rules, but also to have more rooms for single work or video calls. Probably this is not a surprise that within the pandemic times, a lot of us have spent a number of time in our own houses, homes, or flats, working with the video cameras and individually with our laptops or the monitors and our computers. On the other side of those cameras, there were our co-workers, there were our clients, there were our vendors, and they were also working in the similar areas. So some of the companies have decided to create a phone booths or the smaller offices for such single work. And this is also becoming a visible trend in some of the companies. So we are, let's say, limiting the open space, and we are extending the space where there are closed rooms for individual work, where you can run your regular, let's say, type of the things which you run during the day, where you can run the video calls, where you can arrange meetings, recruitment processes, and some other activities, whichever you can imagine. Something what is also accompanied to that are the creative areas. What are those creative areas? So actually those are the areas where there are no regular desks, but there are more sofas, more open spaces where people can walk around, where they can use some flip charts or the walls where something can be written on the walls. And this is bigger space for smaller teams to work together. So this is not for hanging out and just keeping a short distance between each other, but it's rather a bigger area which allows the teams to focus on the tasks they are given and work comfortably with a distance which is being actually advised now by either the company or by the legal regulations. So this is something what is also visible, and a lot of companies have changed their office space to work like that. And what do you think? Do you think those are the only three office trends which are now visible at the end of 2021? I don't believe so, personally, to be honest. There are many, many more, but those three are very much visible and very much repeated by companies who I do talk about their office preferences and how do they approach and how they behave in the offices. So let's sum it up. There are three of them listed in this podcast. One of them is office for half of the team size. The second one is teams everywhere. So co-working and flex offices are becoming more and more popular. And the third one is more space, more rooms for video calls and individual work, but in the current size of your office. Yeah, that's the end of this episode. It was the episode number 54. Another one is coming very, very shortly, and I will share with you some news about something what is called focus on business. But you will need to wait a few days for another episode. Hopefully you liked today's one, and hopefully you are also liking it so much that you are going to become a subscriber of the Good Morning BSS World podcast, which I will be very glad to have you on board with the other subscribers who already listened to this episode. Okay, I'm planning for you, of course, some new episodes in the very, very short time, but for today, this is the end. Keep well, and let's meet together again in the other episode of Good Morning BSS World. See you. Bye-bye.